Today, we're looking at Private Reserve's Invincible Black, and it is invincible. That part's true. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Private Reserve's Invincible Black is black ink? No, but it's called Invincible Black. It's much more of a gray to me. Now, to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Retro 51 with Tornado with a broad nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, immediately put it in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And this is interesting only in that it's so consistent all the way up. What I'm seeing is that it's trying to stay wherever it is immediately pushed up this paper. But this is probably the only chromatography I've seen that's so consistent all the way through. It's really kind of amazing. Now the one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And it almost doesn't budge. You see above the black line a hint of gray that's managed to move up, and that's about it. This to me makes me feel that this is going to be a very resistant ink. I got a feeling this ink might be a little bit of a problem. Now, resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on your page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pens. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Reminder, it's called Invincible Black. Yeah. Looking at the highlighter, this is a perfect ink for a student to use in note-taking. I think this is a perfect ink for a lab situation. The highlighter it didn't affect it at all. The ink never even noticed it. It just brushed it off like it was nothing. Talking about brushing it off like it's nothing, I did test this smear. The fact that water did absolutely nothing. It didn't budge at all. Neither did Pen Flush. Pen Flush did nothing to this at all. Invincible Black is the correct name. Bleach barely got any of this ink moving. Now, I don't have enough of this ink. I only had 2 milliliters and it didn't stay in a pen for a very long time, so let me know in the comments below if you've seen any staining on this, because I had a very small sample, so I really didn't even get a full pen to write for a day out of it, and I think I would have liked to have seen if I could have used this ink in a pen for like a week. Would it have done anything? Let me know in the comments below, would you? Because this is crazy in how resistant this is. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average flow or viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Private Reserve's Invincible Black has a viscosity of 2.89, putting it on the very high side of normal, but still normal. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nibs on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Private Reserve's Invincible Black has an average dry time of 8 seconds, which makes it a very fast drying ink. But I do want to say that that is not uncommon for some of these very permanent inks to have a fast bonding or fast dry time with the paper. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at Clairefontaine. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It does offer little moments of shading. The NC is a little bit darker than the rest of Invincible. The TE in Private is a little bit darker, but other than that, not really a lot of color variation. Same exact tone with the extra fine. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and there's no shading here at all. 4 seconds to dry. Medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. Now, the scrubby for both show us color variation. We did not get any. I see more in person than on camera. And the smear test says you could likely recover this. So, Tomoe River. Tomoe River has no bleeding, lots of ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread, no halo, sheen, or shade. I'm just looking at the gray that is this black. I don't like this. And not just on this paper. I don't like this ink. Black should be black and not gray. I'm going to try not to harp on that. Extra fine, same exact tone, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 9 seconds to dry. The medium, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 16 seconds to dry. We see a very consistent color tone. The scrubby shows us no color variation. We got none. And the smear test, I don't think you could recover it at all because it smears and blacks out the world or grays out the world. So here's what I will say for this ink that I'm not particularly fond of. It is super resistant. It is invincible. It did do really well. I know we saw that on the Who's Nits Know What's It's chemical testing. Rhodia, no bleeding. No ghosting. Yes, we see quite a bit when I'm putting it on stupid thick. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. In the exact same tone of gray, on the extra fine, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 6 seconds to dry. The medium, same exact tone of gray, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 9 seconds to dry. So it's a relatively quick drying ink. The extra fine and the medium scrubby both show us no color variation. We didn't get any. And the smear test, I don't think you could recover it. So Northbooks. Northbooks had no bleeding, no ghosting. Now it does bleed on the scrubby. I'm putting it on stupid thick. I don't tend to count that. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It does look a little darker here because of the tone of the paper. And thankfully, it starts to look like a light black. Other than that, it's a black that's definitely gray. Extra fine, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 2 seconds to dry. Excuse me. The medium with the exact same tone, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, still 2 seconds to dry. So very good on there if you for a carry around pen, if you can get over the color. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't get any. In the smear test, I actually think you could recover this one. Dries fast enough. So what happens for a student that's maybe using this on a composition lab notebook? Well, we get no bleeding except where I put it on stupid thick. The paper's very thin, so we do get ghosting. There's a medium at the top. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine has exactly the same tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It only took 3 seconds to dry. The scrubby showed us no color variation. We got none. And I believe you could recover that smear if you smeared while you were writing. So 28-pound premium copy paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The medium at the top, no feather, no spread, no halo, sheen, or shade. It has the beginnings of what looks like it wants to spread, but I'm like on the I of Invisible or the BL of Invisible, but it doesn't look like feathering. It looks like I might have been over-caffeinated and maybe a shaky hand. So I'm not exactly sure. That's what I'm seeing there. The extra fine. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It only took 1 second to dry. The scrubby shows us no color variation. We got none. And the smear, you can't even smear this ink. It dries so fast, which is a good thing in the right application. And that is all that I have for the writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Private Reserve's Invincible Black, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Now, an ink that's so stubborn to move as this one makes me feel that if you're writing something and you are that worried of any of it moving, you might want another color that just won't move. And because this black is so not black, perhaps a blue would work, like Private Reserve's Invincible Blue, which we'll post tomorrow as a video, because at least have two different colors that won't budge off the page. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. Now, what do I think of Private Reserve's Invincible Black? It's not black, it's gray. Even in a broad, wet nib of that Retro 51 Tornado, it dries gray, not black. I would love it to be black. If this was black and it stained my pen, I could probably live with it as a permanent black ink and dedicate a pen to it. But it's gray, which is a problem. That being said, it's so invincible and in place that sort of overrides a little bit. For people who really want some protection, this is a very good ink. It really is invincible. Thanks for watching.